You learn the most expensive word in the building. No. A walk-in wants 640 horsepower on a stock engine and a smirk. You quote the build, it actually takes $14,000, and he wants the $4,000 version, and you decline, and he calls you scared on his way out. 8 weeks later, his car comes back on a hook, tuned by somebody hungrier, with a rod hanging out of the block like a confession. The story travels. The no costs you $4,000 in a week. Over the next year, the no's become the brand. On a Tuesday in March, the door chime rings, and it takes you a second to look down. Danny, 22 now, forearms like cable from 2 years of pushing himself everywhere. He asks if it's true you stayed that night. You say yes. He sits with that for a moment, then squares up and asks for a job, and gets the hard part out first. I can't lift a gearbox. Tuning's a sitting down job, you say. It's the best hire you will ever make. Danny takes the remote cue and devours it. Data logs, fuel trims, revision notes at midnight. Within 3 months, he's sharper at diagnosis by graph than you are, and you say so in front of a customer, on purpose, and watch him grow an inch in a wheelchair. His first full month, he closes 22 remote tunes on his own. In month 4, he's reading a data log from a stranger 3 time zones away and stops mid-sentence. Fuel pressure sagging 2% under load. A pump about to die. Invisible to everyone on Earth except him. He emails the man to park the car. The teardown proves him right to the decimal, and the stranger's thank you letter hangs in the office, and Danny pretends he doesn't look at it every day. His mother starts bringing a covered dish by on Fridays, and never once says the thing you both remember. Some thank yous work better as casseroles. Walt dies in October, in his sleep, at 76. The one mercy in this whole story that arrives on time. His daughter comes by the shop with the torque wrench. He said you'd know why. You do. You use it on every head you torque for the rest of your life, and you paint 6 words above bay 1. Torque specs are not suggestions. When new hires ask, you say, a neighbor, and let them wonder. Level 7. The waitlist. The waitlist crosses 4 months on the same day you hire your third tech, and you celebrate by doing absolutely nothing differently. You pay your techs a guaranteed 40 hours, every week, rain or rust, because you once flagged 22 hours in a 50-hour week, and cashed a check for $396, and a man doesn't forget the math that almost broke him. The tool truck guys hate your parking lot. Your turnover is 0. A dealership tries to poach your best tech with an extra $3 an hour. He turns it down at the counter in front of everybody, without even calling his wife first. Later you ask him why. He shrugs. Nobody's yelled at me in 2 years, he says. You put that sentence in the employee handbook. It's the entire culture section. A dyno session is $850 now, and people wait anyway. You raise prices the way Ray taught you to diagnose. Slowly, testing, watching the gauges. That winter, you and the crew build a shop car the old way. Junkyard block, public parts list, every receipt published. $11,600 all in. Less than half of what the internet insists a 9-second car costs, which is exactly the point. On a sanctioned Friday night, with a roll cage and an ambulance on standby, it runs a 9.41 at 147, and a 31-second clip of the pull travels farther than you ever have. The phone stops ringing and starts swarming, so you stop selling only hours. In Bay 2, a bench appears, and on the bench, a harness. Plug and play, flex fuel, $41 in parts, $219 shipped, built in batches by a kid who's good with his hands. 340 units a month. For the first time in your life, money arrives while you're asleep, and it never entirely stops feeling like a trick. Then a kid comes in, 19 maybe, cash folded in an envelope, eyes flicking to his phone. He wants 700 at the wheels. Street tires, no cage. He mentions a list. The list never died. Lists don't. You turn down $9,400 and offer to prep the car for the strip instead. Entries $20 on Fridays. He looks at you the way you once looked at slow men and leaves. For a month, you check the tow yard photos for silver. You never find out. That's the lesson Level 7 keeps reteaching. You can't save them. You can only refuse to hold the stopwatch. And then, on a slow Saturday, a pickup pulls in dragging a trailer. And on the trailer, orange under 15 years of garage dust, sits the Supra. Tommy's thinner, grayer, prouder than his wallet, which is why he stands there holding his hat instead of asking. He can't touch waitlist prices, and you both know it. You close the shop the next 4 Sundays. You, Tommy, and Danny at the bench calling out numbers. 15 years of almost, and then one afternoon, the straight 6 clears its throat for the first time since jack stands were supposed to be temporary, and settles into an idle smooth as poured oil. Tommy doesn't say anything for a long time. Neither do you. The invoice reads $1. He pays it with a bill from his wallet, and you frame it over the register, and when customers ask, Danny tells them the truth. That's the most expensive dollar in the building. In the spring, 2 men in gray quarter zips fly in from a national parts distributor, tour the shop with soft handshakes, and ask what it would take for you to hand them the keys. You say a number meant to end the meeting. Nobody flinches. Level 8. The Sunday car. The negotiation takes 3 months and a conference room you never feel dressed for. $5.1 million. The brand, the harness line, the tune library, the wait list, the name on the sign. Your conditions go in before the price does. The first dyno stays yours. The Civic was never on the table. In Danny's department, salary and title are locked for 5 years in writing. The lawyers thought that clause was sentiment until you made them read it back twice. The wire lands on a Tuesday while you're doing your own oil change, which is exactly where you'd want to be standing. You finish the job, you torque the drain plug to spec. Obviously, what follows is the strangest season of your life, the one where nothing is broken. The money sits in boring investments chosen on purpose by a boring advisor chosen on purpose. The house you buy is ordinary. 3 bedrooms, quiet street, nothing worth photographing, except the garage, which is not ordinary at all, and which is the only room anyone ever gets a tour of. You still count change twice. You still know a head gasket set runs $104 now. You checked. D retired to a lake. His nephew runs the counter and still lets an old habit walk the rows 20 minutes before open, because some rules outlive the men who made them. Once a month, Ray sends a photo of a fish. No caption. You reply with a photo of the dyno. Neither of you has ever explained this to anyone. The new owners tried once to move Danny to a regional office with a better title. He declined from a position of contractual strength. You taught him that word. Every Friday night, the drag strip across the county runs a street legal program where the first 50 entries are mysteriously already paid, helmets included. $1,400 a week, wired from a company with a deliberately boring name. The track manager knows. He's paid in part to not know. And the light pole on Route 9 hasn't worn new flowers in 4 years. You check every spring. It's the only report card you've ever cared about. The Civic is still yours. Same faded paint, because the paint is the story. Everything underneath is better than new. On Sunday mornings, you drive it. Right lane, 70, windows down, no destination. Out of a habit older than the money. And on one of those Sundays, on the shoulder of the interstate, you see it. Hazards. Hood up. White smoke thinning in the morning air. A man in his 20s with a phone pressed to his ear, doing the kind of listening that ages a face. There's a high-vis vest on his passenger seat and a warehouse badge clipped to it. You know the quote he's hearing before he hangs up. You could recite it. You pull over. His numbers spill out of him like they've been waiting. $2,300 from the shop. $640 in the bank. A job across town he cannot lose. Rent in 12 days. He says the car is dead. He says today is the worst day of his life. He thinks the smoke means it's over. You know it means it's starting. You open the trunk of the Civic. Inside, a folding lawn chair you have never once explained, and a torque wrench older than both of you. It has outlived 2 owners. It isn't done. You hand it to him, and he looks at you like you're crazy. They always do, right up until the key turns. You do it, you say, unfolding the chair. I'll watch.